On the next episode of Get Real, we're reviewing Oppenheimer. J. Robert Oppenheimer is having the time of his life in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Oppenheimer land. However, when he gets a chance to go to the real world, he soon discovers the joys and perils of living among humans. What will happen next? Find out on an all-new episode of Get Real. Coming in, here I come, coming in, yeah.
Here you come.
Hi, hello everyone. Miss Pengrino, you're just sitting in a, stand up, show everybody your chair. It's just a regular, pick it up and just show it because they can't see it. It's just a regular old chair. But then you look at the chair that Hot Toddy is sitting in. Look at this beautiful new desk chair. Oh, well, it's the desk chair. You see, I used to have this old weird-looking desk chair.
Yeah, the questionable desk chair that if he sat on, there might be a pipe up his tush momentarily.
That we never sat in on this show because of that very reason. So now here we are. I can now sit in this chair.
We're in a race against the Nazis. And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
I'm Hot Toddy, that's Miss Pengrino, and welcome to an all-new episode of Get
Real.
Ha-ha! Not so fast, eager McBeaver.
So we just saw the new movie Oppenheimer. We've completed Barbenheimer. Hashtag Barbenheimer, which is of course the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer. We've managed to conquer them both. Miss Pengrino,
Yay.
yeah. What did you think of Oppenheimer?
It was so long.
Very long film. It cracks in at 180 minutes, which is 3
hours.
And we felt every hour.
Every bit. I could not feel my tush once we left. Could barely walk because I couldn't feel my tush.
Okay, so you were uncomfortable, but what did you think of the film? The film. Yes.
Well, we're waiting.
You know, for what it was good.
What does that mean?
This is not my kind of movie. It's like a history.
It's a historical
action.
It's a historical biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was basically the father of the atomic bomb. And it's not really your type of film.
It's not my thing.
It's my type of film. And I have to say, yes, it was very good. I enjoyed it.
Parts were a little hard to follow, but I guess again because history is not my thing.
Part of and also part of the reason is they told. See, I was thinking this was more just the story of the building of the atomic bomb, and it's a race against the Nazis, because that's how, again, just like the Barbie trailer, that's how it was set up. It's like it was going to be this race to get the nuclear bomb, and then in the midst you would learn more about Oppenheimer's personal life during that time. Again, you did. This was a thing.
But it was more about him.
But that you also learned about his entire life, basically. I mean, it was non-linear, so we went back and forth at different points in time. You'd be like in the middle of World War II. Then you go back to his college days. Then you go right after the war.
That so much
a few
didn't
years
bother
later
me
after the war.
Because I, do have ADD brain.
Yeah,
so
again,
that's okay.
You were able to follow it for that reason.
For that reason, but the history stuff is kind of like, meh.
Yeah. And
questionable for me.
Well, see, but I love the historical part. I mean, that's the whole thing, and
it was.
And that's what it was. I mean, it was the atomic age, the birth of the atomic bomb age, and it was just super interesting. I really enjoyed it.
I don't think it needed to be 3 hours.
Well, again, we talked about this in the last episode. It's like, or maybe the episode before, I don't know, because, and the point I'm getting to, every movie is going to be at least 2 hours now. There is no hour and a half long movie. The 90-minute film is gone. That's
I would have been okay with it if it was 2 hours.
Again, yes, but I mean, this is a biopic. This is a biopic, so this is something that would require a lot of time to go into it, because it's not just like a biopic like Rocket Man or what was the other one, Bohemian Rhapsody, the Freddie Mercury, which is ironic because Rami Malek was in this movie.
He was.
I
love Rami Malek.
He's great.
There's a lot of pop-ups in this one.
We'll talk about that,
Yeah.
but it's not like one of those films where you can you could pack all that into like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
This is a thing where you have to take your time, and you really have to get it as close to accurate as you could.
So I think the thing
is, it's going to be a longer film.
If they left it just about the atomic bomb making, it could have been a 2 hour film.
It could have been a 2 to 2.5 hour film.
But because you made it like almost an autobiography and about the atomic bomb, here's where the extra hour came in.
Because it truly was about Oppenheimer's life, starting from his college, linearly. Hey, there we go. It's from his college years all the way up until he was investigated by the
FBI.
There was a specific
ACC.
there was a specific name for it. It's like the Un-American group, the commission that. It's the commission that decided if you were communist or not, and if you were communist, you were blacklisted.
I just pissed in my pants.
And that's what happened to him. So you learn all about that, and then we even go a few years after that when Robert Downey Jr.'s character is trying to get into Eisenhower's cabinet when he first takes office in the early 50s. And so you're just jumping back and forth between these time periods, and it was very eye-opening because it wasn't just about the building of the atomic bomb and entering this new era of the world. It was also about sort of the darker side of the United States. It was a darker message about America at that time when we looked at everybody as a communist unless you were proven not to be. Which basically meant if you were liberal, you were evil. You were evil, and only the conservatives are the good people. It sounds oddly familiar. Mm-hmm. We won't go there.
Don't tell nobody.
I did not realize this was the same time as like Albert Einstein.
You didn't put that together?
I didn't until they were together, and then I was like, oh, all of this did happen at the same time.
You didn't realize Einstein played a role in World War II. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, Einstein.
Probably because I'm not a history buff.
Right.
So, Einstein was math and science.
We've had so many great minds in the last 70, 80 years, but they don't get the credibility that like an Einstein. Einstein was like one of those last ones that you would put up on the pedestal of like Darwin and people like that who came up basically with the world that we know now.
Yeah.
Einstein was sort of the last person to be that. If you dug deeper and you would like a Neil deGrasse Tyson would be one. Would be kind of considered a part of that. We look at Bill Nye as one of those.
Well, because it's Bill Nye.
It's Bill Nye.
What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire.
But the thing is that Albert Einstein had a hand in building with the mathematics that would end up creating this atomic age, and then Robert Oppenheimer was the one that carried it, saw it through, along with a group of scientists. Up-and-coming scientists, and that's how it all started. So yeah, he had a hand in all this. Of course, he was also German, so there was also like a personal stake for him because he was attacking the country that he was from, but I mean he couldn't help it because it was under a tyranny at that time. Of course, as we know historically, the bomb did not go to Germany; it went to our specific enemy, Japan. During that time, and that was another reason why I love the movie, was that it really did visit that moral issue of, was this okay? Was this what we should have done the whole time? Should we have attacked Japan in such a brutal manner? Because that's why I love it so much, because we still to this day have that moral quandary.
We do.
The ending of the war by this means, certainly cruel, was not undertaken lightly. But I am not, as of today, confident that a better course was then open.
They attacked us. Why wouldn't we attack them? But the loss of life was greater from what we did.
Yeah. So
there is that moral issue of, was the bomb the right thing to do? Was it not? It's hard to say. But they visit that, and because Oppenheimer felt a little bad about dropping a huge bomb on.
Because it was
civilians.
civilians.
On a country that killed 6 figures of people, even more as time went on due to radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
He didn't feel great about it, and so he kind of voiced that opinion, and because of that, it ruined a lot of potential future things, and they ended up ousting him because of it. So. It didn't really ruin anything. Actually, everything went through. He was just opposing it, and so it looked bad that the father of the nuclear bomb was opposing.
Said it was a bad choice.
Was opposing the future programs that were going to be built out of this. So it was interesting to dive into all of that, as opposed to just like, all right, here goes, it's Oppenheimer. Here we go. We're going to build the bomb. They dug a little deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why. That's one of the reasons why I liked it so much.
I mean, again, this is your kind of movie.
Yeah.
This was a lot for me.
Sure. It was a lot for you.
Somebody kill me, please!
I mean, it was like, I understand it's our history. Sometimes history repeats itself. Like, I get that it's important to know about it. But do I want to sit there for 3 hours and know about it?
Well, it's good to have a history lesson. Again,
it is, and if you're gonna have a history lesson, I suppose a movie that was that good is a way to do it.
It's good to know the full history of something, and you won't hear about J. Robert Oppenheimer saying maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. You won't hear about how people had like a moral issue, a morality issue of whether or not it was okay to kill
most of the scientists did have a morality issue.
They did, and that was and that's something that's something that haunted those scientists until the very end. Was this the right thing to do? Because we were being evil to the Japanese here in America. Japanese Americans were put into internment camps. I mean, you can listen to George Takei from Star Trek. He's very famous about his time, talking about his time as a child, being in an American concentration camp, growing up.
The President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, ordered all Japanese Americans on the west coast of America to be summarily rounded up, with no charges, with no trial, with no due process. I still remember the barbed wire fence that confined me. I remember the tall sentry tower with the machine guns pointed at us.
We were doing our own atrocities, and so that leads to the question, and that's what this movie does, was what we did an atrocity within itself in attacking the Japanese with such a horrible instrument of death. So, it dug deep, and I really liked that, and I respected it. I liked it, and I respected it. And Murphy, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. He'll pronounce it for you.
And it's pronounced Killian.
That's it, Killian. Yeah, Killian Murphy. Thanks, Killian.
You're welcome.
His performance as Oppenheimer was great. I've never actually heard Oppenheimer speak, so it's one of those things where I don't know if it was a darn good impression of him. I don't know.
Right.
It was just great acting. I enjoyed it, so that was really good, and I enjoyed all the people in the movie. And we'll get now getting back to what you were talking about. So many celebrities in this film.
I mean, they didn't do much. A lot of the celebrities.
Some of them just showed up and walked out.
Right? They were
just come in and say, "Hey, how are you?" And then they were gone.
What's up?
Yeah.
We're part of the bomb movie.
Yeah,
Bye.
we're in this big bomb movie. We're here. Yeah. But God, yeah, like so many. I mean, of course, you had the standards. You had, say it again. Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh was in it.
What?
Jack Quaid was in it. Do you remember in April of last year? Because we're a big fan of, well, I'm a big fan. I kind of forced you to watch it. Of Red Letter Media. We've talked about Red Letter Media here. Shout out to them in Wisconsin.
I don't mind Best of the Worst. The rest I could do without.
Well, the Best of the Worst. You remember Jack Quaid was on an episode of Best of the Worst.
Yeah.
And he mentioned in that episode that he was on his way to film the new Christopher Nolan movie, which was Oppenheimer.
And Jack, once we're done shooting this, you're off to work on Christopher Nolan's new film, right?
Yeah. What's the film?
Oppenheimer.
On his way to film his parts for Oppenheimer, he stopped in and did an episode of Best of the Worst.
That's hilarious.
With the boys up in Milwaukee.
With the
boys. And so that's what when I think of Jack Quaid in this movie, I think, he was
on Best of the Worst.
Well, no, he was in his Best of the Worst on his way to do Oppenheimer. So that's something I remember. But yeah, so he was in it.
Bernard.
Bernard
That's
from
not his real name.
from the Santa Claus. No, it was David Krumholtz. He was in it. He was also in the second Addams Family movie, which I enjoy much more than the first one. So
Always.
that's Values, Addams Family Values, which is a great film.
And I am Running Bear, betrothed to Pocahontas in the play.
But yes, David Krumholtz was in it. Josh Peck from Drake and Frickin' Josh.
He pushed the button.
He hardly had any lines in the movie. He was just there, but
Except for charged and push button.
He pushed a button to help during the testing of the atomic bomb. He pushed the button, which was he was TV's Frank.
Push the button, Frank.
He was
Frank.
There he is. He's back there. Well, the light's shining right on that picture. You can't see it, but yeah, that's TV's Frank back there. That he wasn't in it, but Josh Peck was in it.
Push the button.
So yeah, you can check out. Who am I missing? Who else?
You
was
literally
in it?
leaned over and was like, "Is that Josh from Drake and Josh?"
Yeah, that's what I said. Is that Josh?
Yes, it is.
From Drake and Josh. Holy God. But we mentioned Rami Malek was in it. Of course, Robert Downey Jr. was in it. He was a huge part of it. I looked over the cast like there was just so many people that just literally stepped in for a second.
And stepped right back
Kenneth
out.
Branagh played Niels Bohr, the legendary scientist from the early 20th century, who inspired Oppenheimer to do all this.
To do it, yeah.
Gary Oldman makes a cameo as Presidente Harry Truman, President of the United States during when the atomic bomb was dropped. Of course, for those of you who don't know history, Roosevelt was president all the way through. FDR, that is, all the way through World War II. He died in early 1945, so all of this took place literally right after he passed away, and Harry Truman was his vice president at the time. Harry Truman was president at the time.
The one who dropped the bomb.
That's right. So he was in it, just a cavalcade, and that's high praise for like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Because his movies are just that great that
all I want to do is be in it for
just even if it's
30
just
seconds.
for a freaking second.
30 seconds.
But that being
I was
said,
in the movie.
you remember what Christopher Nolan's last film was? Tenet.
I never watched that one.
Were you not there for that one?
I did not know that.
That would have been a movie that you would have blocked out. I blocked it out after
What was that one about?
I reviewed it on Get Real like 3 years ago when it came out, and it just can't stand it anymore. That movie, it sat on my head and crushed it. Okay, I don't think you understand how hard it is to review a film like Tenet. You don't understand. You'll never understand how hard it is. I can't do it. I can't do this anymore. Get off my screen!
I don't think I was with you guys. I want to say I was working.
You asked me what it's about. I don't know. To this day, I don't know. Get off my screen!
So, guys,
go back and check this episode. I think I may have explained it in it. I don't know.
One of two things. I was there and I blocked it out, or I was working. Let's just hope I was working.
Get off my screen!
Was that the one where everybody went in reverse?
Yes.
Oh, was there?
Why didn't you review that? I guess that was before your reviewing days.
Probably.
It's fine. You didn't miss anything. I just lost my mind for about 20...
Because Pattinson was in it.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. I couldn't think of his first name at the moment. My brain just kind of stopped.
Which is ironic because he played Batman, but not in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
But not in the Christopher Nolan Batman.
My nose is going to bleed.
No, Jesus.
Oh, somebody kill me, please!
Something else we need to talk about. Special effects were amazing. They were really great. I really loved that.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh, God. We both had a headache after we left the movie.
Dude, the seats shook. Every time a bomb went off or even like a little explosion, like everything shook.
Because what they would do, because he would just be talking, it would just be a shot of him thinking or a shot of him talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden, and then back to just talking about the idea of the atomic bomb, and then you could just be talking about pancakes, and then all of a sudden. It's just there was so
a lot of light too.
Much. It was so.
I feel like every time you looked up, you were just blinded by light.
That was the whole movie. Like every few minutes. Like it was an artistic idea. It was like, this is what's going on in his brain. He has this idea of how atomic energy could work and this type of thing, and it's just
Did we not both have? You said both had headaches.
Yeah.
Have to take like ibuprofen, Excedrin, something.
I did.
Because
I did. I took ibuprofen. We took it later when we got home, but
well, went to sleep
Yeah.
thinking that would fix it.
It
And
did
then
not.
I woke up in a couple hours and told him, and I was like, no, ow. And he had to give me ibuprofen.
And then I had to take some. I was like, yeah, you're right. My head's hurting. I didn't even really realize it. So there was a lot of that. A lot of sneaking in explosions on me. And that's not cool. But, but yeah, so that was how that worked. But
it was a good movie.
It was. But the special effects, yeah, they were grand. I thought they were really cool. And everything worked
Heads
really
up,
well.
if you didn't know this, there's boobies.
We would need to get to that.
Yeah. Boobies and grinding.
Now, the next couple of things I'm going to talk about are things that were referenced in, speaking of Red Letter Media, their half in the bag review. So I'm not stealing anything from them. They mentioned it, and I was like, okay, I'll be on the lookout. And they definitely
These are the things.
Yeah, Florence Pugh goes full frontal. Actually, she goes full body.
Just everything. If you
shows
wanted to know what every inch of
everything.
her body looked like, you see it.
And I was fine with it.
I mean, she's a very beautiful woman.
Say, Sugar, how'd you like to come over to my house tonight and see my coffee? Fresh? Oh, yeah, ground today.
Florence Pugh, ooh, that's a hall pass, let me tell you.
You're for sure. I love the scene where they're just sitting talking to each other nude in chairs.
So, yeah, and they mentioned that on Half in the Bag, and it's like, well, that makes sense because...
I'm real cozy, let's just sit here.
Well, because they're comfortable around each other.
I mean,
that
that is
normal
good.
people would do that.
Why I like to be nude.
It's fine, you know, on their way to the bathroom, whatever. It's just a thing. But yes, there are a couple sex scenes. One, so let me set it up. They were asking, so again, it's non-linear, so it just cuts back and forth to different parts, and they're cutting to a part where he's in this meeting where they're discussing whether to take away
interrogating
his
him.
security clearance, you know, to blacklist him essentially. And I said, why did you go see her?
Why'd you go see her?
Florence Pugh's character, and he's like, well, because she was still in love with me. And then the camera, he's fully dressed, sitting in the chair, and then the camera goes behind Jason Clarke, who is another actor in the movie. He played the attorney that was drilling him, Roddy.
Rod.
Luann Lyons,
Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Yeah, he played him, and it goes behind Jason Clarke. When it comes back around, Cillian Murphy he's fully nude, but you just see his chest. You see him, and then it cuts to like somebody else in the room, and cuts back to him, and Florence Pugh is on top of him, just grinding.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be like the question, why did you go see her? And the answer he was basically trying to give was to fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
He went to say his goodbyes, which included.
Yes. So there you go.
All while his wife, played by Emily Blunt, is sitting behind him, and so she's imagining this in her head. This is why we're seeing this.
So yeah, so there you go. And then there's just a straight up sex scene, and it's fine. And they said it in Half in the Bag, and I'll say it here too. We're adults. Don't take your kids to Oppenheimer. They're not going to get.
Please don't take your kids to Oppenheimer.
They're not going to get anything out of it, and B, yeah, there's nudity in it. So don't take your kids to Oppenheimer. It's not a kids movie. I don't really know. I think it's 13, but I don't know. In that case, probably should have been R. I don't know.
I feel like with the nudity, it should have been, but
I don't know. But yeah, so don't take your kids. And if you're an adult and you can't handle a little nudity in a movie, don't go. That's my little take on that.
I found it.
What is it?
It's rated R.
It's rated R. Well, don't take the kids.
And it's rated R for sex, nudity, language, and violence.
There's not a lot of violence in the movie.
But they dropped a fucking atomic bomb.
You don't see it drop on the people.
No, but you see in his head people turn to ash and their faces melting off.
Oh, good for you.
Pick out 2.
No. Ow!
Stop it!
Okay, well, so yeah, there's some nudity. Get over it.
Titties.
And then finally, I think the thing that, and this is the other thing that talked about Half in the Bag, was that they cranked up the music at times where they didn't need to crank up the music. they cranked it up in just general conversation, and so there were times when I couldn't understand what they were saying because the music was too loud. The music got too loud. So the music, I mean, the music's great in it. It's very memorable, but it was just it came in at inappropriate times. I felt like, and it was just super loud.
You know,
and then just added to the other thing that we talked about a second ago.
I was literally gonna say, like, just my ears were probably so dead from all the explosions and everything, and just everything.
Yeah.
Not to mention, and this was not going to be happening for everybody, but in our theater, one of the freaking commercials or previews ahead of time blasted our eardrums out. And, like,
and that's
I was like, nope, I can't hear anything from now on.
Our local theater doesn't know how to control their own volume.
Don't.
So you have them cranking up the volume too loud already, and then you have the loud movie with all the booms, and so it caused some minor issues there.
I already have hearing problems, man.
She really
Come
does.
on. Like,
it's bad.
Why are we trying to
bad.
destroy what little hearing I have left?
Whatever.
But all in all, I think it was a solid movie. I think it was really great. It was very, I don't know how historically accurate it is because we weren't there. We don't know. It's one of those things. They take a lot of liberties with movies like this, and so
it's a theatrical. Historics.
And it's a theatrical experience. That's another thing. We'll get to this in the recommendation, but it's something you should see. Even though it's not super exciting, it's still really interesting. So
I mean, for some, it might be super exciting.
I mean, that might be the case, but I thought it was just super well made, and I really enjoyed it. And that leads me to the question, Miss Pengrino, would you recommend Oppenheimer to the masses?
I mean, probably, yeah. Like I said, it's not my favorite thing to see. One, because it's not my kind of movie. Two, it was really long. But that being said, it is a good movie. And it does for people like me who know nothing really of history because they just couldn't get into it and gave no shits in college or high school or whenever we talked about this, probably in both, I don't know. It's a good, a little bit of a refresher because it is a theatrical refresher of it. It's not just you reading it out of history books. That being said, my knowledge is probably not that accurate of the situation because how do we really know? Then again, it's probably not super accurate in history books because how would we really know?
Sorry, I zoned out again. Do you recommend the movie or?
You. This is why I hate doing these with him because anytime I talk, it's just.
It was a lot. You recommend the movie?
Yes,
though.
I recommend the movie. Go see it.
She recommends the movie, and I would too. It's a stellar film. Again, and I was getting to this. See it in the theater. It's a theatrical experience. Don't wait for for streaming or Blu-ray. I mean, watch it after that, but go see it.
If you are older, don't do it like the 4D. The
4D experience.
Yeah. Don't do that. Just go see it in a regular theater.
Yeah.
That's enough of an experience.
It's a lot. So just brace yourself. But it's because it's a lot that it's worth seeing in theaters. So
it is.
I highly recommend Oppenheimer. Definitely worth the theater money, and great actors, great performances, a lot of booms,
a lot
of music,
lights.
a lot of boobies,
and a lot of patatis.
So go see Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Go see Oppenheimer today, right now.
3. Truman needs to know what's next.
2.
What's next?
1.
Boy, Miss Pengrino, that was a great movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And after a great movie like that, you just like to sit down in a super comfortable chair that's so cozy. I love it. And unfortunately, you'll never get to sit in it because, it's not your chair. You didn't pay for it, and it's in the media room, which is really my room. So, so sorry, not sorry. Oh! Hey! Oh! Woo!
This is nice. This is real nice.